Welcome back, Leadership on Demand. Always great conversations here. This one, no different. Let's welcome my friend, Monica Ricci. Hola, my friend.
Hola, my friend.
Hola, Monica Ricci. Listen, we just had, we've met multiple times, but we literally just had a personal meetup, one of a couple at one of our favorite places. I don't know why. This is not a promo, right? One of our favorite places, Whole Foods, right? I'll tell you this, they do have some of the best coffee. Some of the best coffee they do. But Whole Foods, we have had some very interesting conversations. But before we dive in, introduce yourself to my friends here, Leadership on Demand, Coach Monica Ricci.
Hello, TM Hyman. I was thinking about Whole Foods the other day, actually, and I was thinking it's going to be so neat now because every time I come to Atlanta, I'm going to be able to text you and say, want to meet at our normal place? Our special place. Yeah, it's awesome. It's super fancy, Whole Foods. Well, I'm so glad to be here. I am Monica Ricci. I am a heroic coach, which means I focus on the overarching idea and pursuit of individual self-mastery. It is the most delicious, most wonderful, yummiest work I have ever done in my life. And I'm super excited about it.
Yeah. Success, health and success, it goes hand in hand, right? Many of us are chasing wealth, but without health, none of it is really relevant, right? A health and success coach, self-mastery. Right before we started, we were talking about patience. As you were talking about people vacuuming in the environment, and we heard a Mack truck kind of come past, and you're like, damn it, man. You know, thank God for patience. As I think, acquire patience, more and more patience every day.
Yeah, acquiring patience is like everything else in life, a practice. That is what, people who do yoga seriously talk about it as a practice. People who do meditation talk about it as a practice because that is what we are doing. We are practicing. We will never be done. And in this realm of developing these qualities, these traits and attributes and embodiments of self-mastery, which there are many, patience being one of them, it is a practice, not only a regular practice, not only a daily practice. It is literally a moment to moment to moment practice. So when the opportunity arises, which it does frequently, you get to stop and you get to step into the moment, the microsecond between the stimulus, which is the vacuum or the Mack truck beeping outside your window when you're about to record a podcast. You get to step into the gap between that stimulus and your default response, which is damn it, and go, ooh, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to practice my self-mastery right now, and shift into, I'm just grateful that I'm on a podcast with my friend TM today. And if I have to wait a few minutes for the beeping or the vacuuming to stop, okay.
We will wait.
We will wait.
You know, Monica, I find you extremely fascinating for several reasons. One, you're very easy to talk to, right? And I think when you look at my face and you look at your face, right? I think just by reflex, based on stereotypes, one would think like, what do they have in common, right? But
my beard is a lot smaller than your beard, so I see that there's definitely a contrast.
I've cut mine down a whole lot. Yeah, I mean, to that point, right? There's stereotypes. When we have connected recently, we've had some of the most interesting, most engaging conversations to where you said, damn it, this should have been recorded. And I think that was like the second time you said that. Like, damn it, we should have recorded. Now, you never miss taking pictures. But we've never recorded anything, which the second meeting said, well, we have to lean into a conversation, and here we are, right? I find you very easy to talk to. You're very open-minded. And so my question first is, have you always been open-minded, or have you grown into open-mindedness? If I was to ask your family, if I was to do a survey monkey, poll with your family, would they say Monica is open-minded, easy to talk
Oh,
to?
absolutely. Absolutely. So I am so intrigued by this question, because what I was thinking while you were asking and formulating your question was, am I really open minded? Have I always been open minded? Or am I just a good listener that is
Mm,
non judgmental?
mm,
Because,
that is
because,
non-judgmental. I love that.
right. And we would have to dig into the real and true meaning of the word open-minded, because there are areas in my life where I'm very open, and there are areas in my life where I'm not open at all. When it comes to my spirituality, for example,
Yeah,
I ain't open. Nope. I got what I got. You got what you got.
and I
You
understand.
got what you, and it's cool. I'm not open to shifting that. However, it doesn't mean I won't listen to what you have to say about yours.
Yeah,
So right, there's a difference, I think, between being open-minded to adopting new ideas, to embracing new possibilities and concepts. And then there's the distinction of being that versus being a non-judgmental listener, and understanding where you stop and another person begins, and understanding that the fact that someone across from you who has a different opinion or experience, you listening to it doesn't mean you have to agree with it, doesn't mean you have to absorb it or embrace it,
yeah.
but you always have the opportunity to listen with kindness.
Listen with kindness. Listen with kindness. Your respect stops where mine start. I love the concept that, um, your voice is just as important as mine. And it's really on all levels, which is why I love the space that we cohabitate in, right? Breakfast with Champions, Community at Breakfast Club. So many relationships and bonds that we've been able to establish because we were able to kind of get outside of ourselves and be willing to listen, and not just listen, but to actively listen. I've heard your story. You have overcome a lot, right? And you've made some tough decisions that have brought you to where you are today. I totally relate, right? But I'll tell you the one thing that also very fascinating, right? I said you're easy to talk to. Another thing I find very fascinating, and let me just add this, because I don't want to water down easy to talk to. As a African American male, you are easy to talk to as a Caucasian woman. Let me be very specific and very clear, right? Because I think the diversity of it all is extremely important. I've listened to you, I've learned from you, right? You listen to the words that come out of my mouth, right? It gives you perspective, and it gives us mutual respect. And I think that it's so important that we're able to talk, listen, respect, right? And it be easy. Sometimes we make it very difficult, and it be easy. But another thing, right? It's the nomad life that you live. Monica, we know what a nomad is, right? We understand the concept of it. But my friends, watching and listening, this lady literally is living a nomadic life. Monica, what does it mean to live a nomadic life, and how did you stumble upon this decision?
Well, for me, it means that I travel full time,
Okay.
and I have the blessing of knowing people everywhere, and I stay with people. So I am not a nomad in the sense that I live in an RV. I haven't decked out a Sprinter van. I mean, there's a tremendous culture around hashtag van life, right? People who live on the road in their decked out RVs and vans and such.
Yeah.
That's not me. I do have a van, but it's a minivan. It's a Honda Odyssey,
Honda Odyssey.
right? I got got a roof carrier. I got a bike rack, right? I travel with all my stuff, but I'm not self-contained. I don't sleep in and live out of my van.
Yeah.
So I am blessed to sleep in the homes of my friends, family, colleagues, fitness Twitter people. In some cases, people I have actually never met before, which has been an incredible adventure, right? And so I travel the country, and all I need for work is Wi-Fi. So I'm getting to see cities I've never seen before. I'm getting to immerse in day-to-day life. You know what? How the difference between a reporter who's overseas and he's got a microphone, he's doing a stand-up from the scene of maybe a conflict, and the difference between that and being embedded in the conflict as a reporter with a camera, that's the difference for me. I'm embedded in regular life, everyday life with people, the mundane.
Yeah.
And it has been so enriching for my relationships. And I will say, in all objectivity, I work really hard at being a 5-star Ninja house guest, and my reviews are stellar. I am a 5-star house guest, and
awesome.
I actually have people reaching back out saying, "When are you coming back? We loved having you. When are you coming back?" I mean, that to me is the biggest compliment that a house guest could get, especially after I've been there a week or 2 weeks, right? So that's my life, me and the Wi-Fi.
You and the Wi-Fi, Monica. If I am driving down 400 here in Atlanta, and there is a billboard, and Monica's on the billboard, what does it say?
It says, "We train heroes." That's what it says. We train heroes. That's what my work is training people to show up in their own lives as heroic. And it's amazing. It's amazing. The things that I hear my clients say to me during the course of our sessions is so beautiful and so gratifying, because what they are becoming is something that they never imagined they could become,
Yeah.
which is leaders, people stepping into the courageous shoes of leadership in their own lives and businesses.
Yeah, I'm looking at you and I see how it makes you light up. And I feel the same sentiment as you know about leadership and helping people to cultivate those superpowers, right? Why is that so important to you?
It's important to me because, number one, it helps me facilitate my own continued process of growth, relationship. There's sometimes this misconception around coaching and mentoring and leadership that the person who is leading knows everything, and
Right, right. We do not.
but the coaching relationship is symbiotic, and the more that I give and serve, the more I learn and grow, which enables and allows me to then give and serve more.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that's partly why I'm so excited about it and it lights me up. But the other piece is the external impact that it has on the families and the people around the people I coach. And I don't know if it was you, who was it that said, maybe it was someone else at BWC. It might have been, "I love you like cooked food." It might have been Tim,
So,
who said, "Each one teach one." And that sentiment is important, because as we empower other people to step into their own self-leadership and their own self-mastery and their own sense of self-efficacy and confidence, they impact the kids around them, the spouse around them, the parents around them. And that makes a ripple in the world. It's fantastic.
ripple in the world. Ripple in the world. You are absolutely, I think, making a ripple effect in the world every time you unmute on Clubhouse. I've been on Clubhouse about 3 years, and I think it is one of the most fascinating um, places to be as it relates to social media. Um, how important is social media in your life, personally or professionally? How important?
It's really important, especially now that I'm on the road. I will share with you that when people learn about this lifestyle that I concocted in 2020, I think it was 2020, I came up with the idea. I was fresh out of a divorce after 24 years of being with my former husband. And somehow, I don't know how it came up, but it just surfaced in my mind when I began thinking about, well, what was next for me? This idea that I don't have to live here in Atlanta. Now, I love Atlanta. I love this city so much. But it occurred to me, like, you don't have any property here anymore. We sold our homes, and I didn't have a, reason to stay, compelling reason to stay. So why not take this opportunity and travel?
Mhm.
So that was kind of how that was the genesis of it. Right. But, oh shoot, I forgot where I was going with this. Dang it. What did you just ask me that led me there? So funny.
Uh,
Clubhouse. Oh, social media. Yes.
yeah,
So
how important is social media in your personal and professional life?
yeah, so that brings me to the fact that I'm always traveling, which means I'm always leaving people. I'm showing up and then I'm leaving. But here's the interesting thing. There has never been a single moment that I have felt lonely or alone.
Well,
Now, I am not a person prone to feeling lonely. I really am not. But the Clubhouse community and my social media community, because it's virtual, it's always with me wherever I am. Always. It's the constant thing. Among all the shifting and the changing and the moving locations, the virtual community is the constant touchstone for me. Those relationships, super duper important.
let's kick it up a notch to
All
just
right.
technology in general, right? Technology, um, artificial intelligence, the devil.
Mhm.
Are you entertaining the devil?
I am not entertaining the devil at this moment for my own use. I think that, like anything else, AI is a tool that can be used for good and it can be used for tremendous bad,
Yeah,
like anything. You know, any tool.
yeah,
So I won't blanket statement and say it's evil. I
gotcha.
will say that, like anything else, it can be and will be used for nefarious means, and we need to have some discernment.
Yeah. No, absolutely. For good, for bad, for indifference, right? For positive truth, for misinformation, um,
Hmm.
for all of that, it will be used. I am using it professionally, right? I mean, not too much use personally because everything really that I'm about deals with business in some way, shape, or form, right? But so I am using it. But yes, I'm not losing my own creativity, my own thought process, right? It's about being able to leverage to help you to be more effective and efficient, not, to become dependent upon it in any kind of way, shape, or form. Monica, what keeps you up at night?
Do you want to know what really keeps me up at
What
night?
the hell keeps you up at night, Monica?
I have a storage unit in Atlanta. That's the only thing that really bugs me, that I have not moved on. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but
Not at
I got
all.
a storage unit full of beautiful vintage mid-century furniture and accessories that I'm more attached to than I want to admit.
Well, there it is. You just admitted it.
I know.
Yeah, you just admitted it.
I know. And I'm back in the online dating world, and that doesn't keep me up at night at all, but it's definitely a new thing in my realm. It's a new thing in my realm. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it's sometimes is a lot of comedy as well, believe me.
Listen, so let's laugh. So let's laugh because our conversation about online dating, I have to say, you absolutely had me thinking about, she mentioned quite a few sites. I should visit one of those sites, or two or three. Listen, online dating, you are so comfortable. You made me comfortable with the idea, right? Because I feel like we live in a society where people just um, are interesting, to say the least, right? So you figure there's a whole lot of ways to meet people. I'd rather just go out, you know, and meet people IRL, right, face to face. Don't worry about the catfish, none of that. But Monica, you've been very intentional. You've had some very positive relationships, like you said. You're having a lot of fun. I think that's very inspiring. Um, and we are inspiring someone right now who's watching and who's listening, right? Because it's never too late. It's a decision. You have to be careful, right? You have to be calculated, but you have to be willing to just do you, baby. You got to be willing to do you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, yeah. I mean, how the hell did you wake up one day and was like, listen, I'm going online and I'm going
Yes.
to see if I can meet Charlie?
Yes. I was out in Las Vegas.
Yes.
No, seriously, I was out in Las Vegas at the end of March for a conference. I was doing a speaking engagement, and while I was there, I thought, well, since I'm in Las Vegas, I'll stay because I have friends out here. I'll stay a couple weeks and just work from there. Like, this is the beauty of being a nomad, right? You don't have to be anywhere at any time
Right.
except for
Your
if you have
own
a
pace.
hard right.
Your own
So I'm
pace.
out there, and I don't know what came over me, TM, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make an account on Match. And I went and I did it, and I made an account on Bumble at the same time. And I'm not kidding you. The next day, I have my first coffee meeting at Starbucks. It was Easter
Next
Sunday,
day.
and not only was Jesus resurrected, but my social life was resurrected on Easter Sunday.
Jesus resurrected. My social life was resurrected. Listen, there's so much to be said in just that right there. Not only
Yeah,
was Jesus resurrected, but my social life was resurrected, all because I just made a decision.
yeah, yeah. And
What
it was
what's
great.
and it went great. So did you think to yourself, how is this gonna go? What if?
Yeah,
What
believe me.
allowed you to push past that? What allowed you to push past the what if he's a killer? What if he's a stalker? Right? All of the what ifs, Monica.
Well, if he's a killer, chances are I'm probably not going to get murdered at Starbucks. I'm saying he's probably not going to do
One
that.
public place, folks. One
Yeah,
public place, well lit,
absolutely. 9 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. And
early,
I also,
not nighttime. First date needs to be early breakfast, nothing past 11:30 a.m. Okay.
yeah. Yeah. It was a coffee meeting. So I knew that if we didn't have good conversation, it was just a coffee. We could either of us bail out in half an hour, right?
Mhm.
It's the perfect thing. And ultimately, I knew that I was in charge, that I was in charge. And when I say in charge, I mean of myself. I'm not in charge of
Yes.
him, but I'm
Yes.
always in charge of myself. And so if we have that grasp on, look, I'm the driver of my own bus. And if this isn't working for me, I just have to suck it up for a half hour and be like, thanks so much. So good to meet you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Bail out.
Yeah.
But what happened is we had a 3-hour coffee meeting. It was
Wow.
awesome.
Some
Yeah.
vibes. Some
It was great.
vibes.
Yeah.
Number three was apply self control at all times. Take charge. Apply self control. So anyone who is struggling with online, right? It's an opportunity to get out of your comfort zone, right? Resurrect your social life, right? You can do it all in one decision. But listen, there's some rules to the game.
Absolutely.
There's some rules to the game. It went wonderful, which means that there was some chemistry, there was some vibes.
Mhm.
Good.
And
As
he
you
lives in
said,
Las Vegas,
it lives in
which
Vegas.
means it's probably not going to work out, which is okay
Mhm.
because
Yeah.
it was a really good first experience.
Yeah. Did it lead
And
to a second experience?
we've been talking and texting some, and no matter what happens, I feel really confident that this is a man that I will be friends with because we just really hit it off well. And what I'm looking at this season of life is how I relate to the prospect of the future.
Yeah.
And when I try to control the future,
Extremely important.
not so good.
Yeah.
When I try to invite the future, that's a whole lot better. And so when we have this experience of allowing things to show up however they show up, instead of trying to control how they show up or anticipating how we want them to show up, instead just waiting and seeing how they show up,
Yeah.
and then reacting and responding. Much, much, much more powerful and peaceful place to be.
Much, much, much more powerful and peaceful place to be. Monica and I was in the Whole Foods, and all of a sudden, she breaks out into dance. I think it was Tina Turner, maybe Tina Turner. Who's in the deck? Who are you listening to? Who does Monica ride up and down the highways and byways bopping to? Who has you bopping?
Well, always my 80s rock. Always. That's a staple. I'm Gen X. I grew up in that time when Journey and Bon Jovi and Foreigner and
Yeah.
right. I
Good
love
time.
all that stuff.
Good-
So good.
Good
Yeah.
times.
Yeah. Rush. I'm a big Rush fan.
Yeah.
I also really like Sugarland. Sugarland just has a happy vibe for me, and I really love listening to a little bit of country, a little specifically Sugarland, and they're hometown people here too from Atlanta. And then there are some current artists that I can be okay with. I'm not going to lie and say I love them all, but there's a few. Bruno Mars is fantastic. Ed Sheeran is great. Taylor Swift is my girl.
Taylor. Listen, here in Atlanta recently, how cool is it to have a Janet Jackson concert and a Taylor Swift concert going on in the same night?
Amazing. You know what else was going on that same night? Or the night before? I can't remember. The city of Sandy Springs they do a free concert series in the summer. I went to the kickoff concert, which was one of my favorite bands of all time. And it's a sleeper band called Better Than Ezra.
Nice.
Out of, they're an LSU band. They're originally an LSU band from Louisiana. And they are just one of my favorite. And I happened to find out about it kind of last minute. Showed up in Sandy Springs, parked my chair, I was by myself. I didn't even care. I danced my butt off. It was so much fun.
You're going to do that.
Yeah. I am a girl in love with life, man. Just in love with life.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. What advice do you have for anyone who may be coming out of a bad relationship, coming out of a divorce? They're trying to find their way, right? Because I'm so inspired by you, your story, your light. What do you say to those folks who don't have as much light, right? What kind of hope would you impart?
I love the word light.
Yeah.
I love the word light. Oh, this is so interesting. So the opposite of light is dark, but the opposite of light is also heavy.
Yes.
And one of the things I talk about with my clients is ballast. And what I mean is our ability to be heavy, not the heavy that is oppression, but the heavy that is solid, that is sound. The heavy that is unmovable in the wind, that kind of heavy. So if someone who's watching today or listening today is coming out of a hard situation, They may feel moved by the wind. They may feel untethered. They may feel like a feather or a bag floating around in the street with no grounding at all. The work there is to fill yourself so that you become heavy and unmovable by the wind, and to give yourself the light that you're missing. You can't continue to look for that outside yourself. You have to give it to yourself so that you become not only heavy, grounded, solid, immovable by the winds of change, but also light inside. It's so interesting. I've never said these words ever. Thank you for this opportunity. But you become simultaneously light and heavy by your own doing and by what you take into your own self. I will share with you, I have a video on one of my phones.
It's true.
We Clubhouse people have like 3 phones. I have 4 right now.
I have 2 in front of me right now.
On one of my phones, I have a video that I took in July of 2020. And it wasn't of myself. It was looking through my phone video, and I was recording myself walking around my house here in Smyrna, room to room. And I was crying and talking on the video and saying, this is what my life is. We're dismantling our life, 25 years, dismantling in 3 days. And I'm crying and talking and walking, and there's boxes and there's stuff everywhere. And it's a house being pulled apart. And it is, it's heart-wrenching for me to see that. But I keep it because it's a beautiful contrast to where I am now. And I don't want to forget that. I don't want to forget where I was. I want to remember where I was because it allows me to really appreciate where I am.
And it's about that appreciation, that gratitude. There are 4 things we have total control over, right? What we think, what we say, how we feel, and how we act.
Mm-hmm.
Every circumstance, we have total control over it, right? What we think, what we say, how we feel, how we act. And we simply have to decide. And once we've decided and committed, and we bring about some resolve, build some confidence. And all it takes is a mustard seed of confidence for it to grow. Just keep doing it. Decide, commit. Sometimes you have to go back and recommit or commit to your commitment in order to resolve.
Yeah.
Right? But once you decide, let's just get it done. I love everything that you have shared, right? Because it's your thought process, but it's also the words. It's also the words. My friend Monica Ricci, health and success coach, self mastery is her bag, right? Self mastery is the thing that she's all tied up and tangled up in. So listen, you must reach out, follow. What's the best way to tap in if someone is in need? Because you and I, we vibe a lot, right? It's all about helping people to grow, to develop, right? If they want to tap into Monica, how do they do so?
Probably the easiest thing would be to just go to my website. I have a form there where you can reach out to me directly. My website is monicaricci.net, N-E-T. Yeah.
And did I say Ricky or did I say Ricci?
You said Richie, but you know what? I don't correct people anymore because it doesn't really matter.
Ricky, Monica.
It's all right.
Well, we want to say it correctly, Monica Ricci. Monica, leadership. This is a leadership podcast. Who has influenced you? What leaders, right? Was it your parents? Was it your teachers? Who has been most influential in your life as a leader?
My grandfather is the first person who comes to mind. It's incredible, right? He was raised in an orphanage. He and his brother were raised in an orphanage at the top of a mountain in Western Pennsylvania. They had, like very little food, and he never went past the 8th grade. He served in the Army and the Marines, not at the same time, of course.
Yeah.
He raised a family. He started a business. He was just an amazing human being. And he is the very first person that always comes to mind for me. And of course, my mother as well. My mother was a single parent who busted her ass, to make sure that we had a roof over our heads. And those are the first two. But then most recently, if we zoom forward into decades later, right now, my heroic coach, Brian Johnson, is amazing. The man is amazing. And it's the heroic curriculum that I am steeped in that I also share with my clients that is so incredibly life-changing.
Yeah, that's amazing. So many similarities. My grandfather as well, right? One of my biggest heroes, one of the most important people in my life. Interesting because my mom went through periods where she was married, and then she was a single parent, right? So I've kind of seen it, felt it both ways. Leadership ultimately is what it comes down to for me, right? Some of the first influences when you think about leadership today. Monica, how would you rate leadership on a scale from 1 to 10 in America?
I think individual leadership is higher than, let's call it, governmental leadership.
Yeah.
I think I look around me in my personal circles and people like you and the people I associate with, and I think, man, leadership is at an all-time high, right? But then I look at our government and I think leadership is at an all-time low.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the numbers would be, but what I will say is that is encouraging, because when there is a failure of leadership above you in the places and the channels that you typically look to for leadership, it inspires leadership down below. It inspires people to step up, leaders to step up. And that is a really, really important thing, that we get to be leaders in our own lives. We can't abdicate leadership to those who we perceive are leaders. We have to be the leaders in our lives.
And create new leaders. And that's exactly why we do this. That's exactly why the whole Leadership on Demand community exists, right? It's because when you look around, right? When you look around, unlike when I was growing up, when you were growing up, there were tons of positive influences, positive leaders within our homes, within our communities, within our society. And you look around and it's like, they're not here anymore. And so if we don't lead and influence, and if we don't create leadership, right, inspire in leadership, cultivate leadership, it's going to be a dying ideology, right? Because we can lead, but it's about effective leadership, right? We got to innovate. Social media is important. Technology is important. We're moving further and further away from all things traditional, right? And I think it's important to hold on to your core values and your own level of morale. You said it. It seems like when you look around, um, there's more personal leadership being demonstrated um, in our own circles, in our own communities, versus at the levels in which we expect leadership, which is very, very interesting. Right? Very
And to follow on to that thought, if you are a person who's listening today to TM's podcast and you don't see the levels of personal leadership increasing in the people around you, that might be a clue for you to change the people around you, to move into these different circles where you can see that, where you can step into that for yourself. Because the real truth is that unless you take leadership of yourself and you govern yourself, sometimes harshly, it's hard for you to lead and govern anyone else appropriately.
Absolutely. Monica, what books are you reading?
Right now, I'm reading The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. And it is an allegory, which I really enjoy because I don't read fiction. However, when a personal development or a business book is formatted in an allegory, in a story, in a fiction format, it there's something easy to absorb about the material, because there's character development, and it's like fiction, so it engages that part of your brain that fiction hits, but you're really learning at the same time. I'm really, really enjoying it. And it's really, the nut of it is about when you can develop the discipline to wake up at, let's say, 5 a.m., you have an advantage over all the people who don't, because you have an extra hour or more in every single day that you get to feed into yourself, where you get to, as we talked about earlier, ballast yourself, input the things that will make you more solid, heavier, more ballasted in the world, and impervious to the winds of change. That extra time in the morning is a really precious gift that you can give yourself.
Monica Ricci, health and success coach, self mastery, and all that.
All that.
And all that. And it's not Monica. I don't know what I was saying at first, but it's Monica Ricci. I can't even remember now. What did I say?
You said Ricci or Richie.
Ricci.
And again, that's
Yeah,
fine.
reading it, Ricci is what I wanted to say, but it's Ricky. And I just wanted to re-emphasize Ricky, because we mess it up all the time on Clubhouse. We do. And she just accepts it because she's just so, so loving and kind. Monica, I have enjoyed this conversation, my dear. We said we were going to make it happen. And
We did.
we did. And we did. Where are you off to next?
I have some new babies I got to go meet in Florida after this. And then I'm going to go to South Carolina first, low country, for a little bit. My oldest friend in the world lives there. Then I'm going to go to Florida, meet some new babies. Then I'm going to head into the Midwest.
Wow. Wow. It's amazing. It's amazing. Follow Monica on IG. Follow her on Twitter. Follow her on Facebook. Listen, she is living this nomadic life. It's a very unique nomadic life. Nevertheless, a nomadic life. I heart you, my friend. Looking forward to our next Whole Foods event. Hopefully, coming sooner than later.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being here, Leadership on Demand.